I'm about to talk to Megan Carver from Carver PR. She's a fantastic woman. She has been in the PR world for a long time and broadcasting before that. She's going to talk to us today about how small businesses PR themselves. And I know it's something for as long as I can remember, everybody wants to know the best ways to break through, to get noticed by the media industry. So it's going to be a fantastic conversation, and I know she's going to have the most wonderful tips for this small business community.
Hello, I'm Megan Carver from Carver PR. We are an entertainment PR agency working with some of the biggest names in the industry, and we also help create superstars. In today's session, Holly and I are going to chat about how to promote and market yourself, the media landscape right now and the opportunities that exist. And I'm also going to give you some tips on how to get over that cringy feeling about selling yourself.
Megan, thank you for joining us. We were just talking about PR, and it has been something that this community has wanted to talk about because small businesses have found PR difficult. Always, let alone in this time. Now, you've created an amazing company called Carver PR. You have clients such as Tom Daly, Sarah Cox, Ian Wright and Russell Brand. And I can imagine the last few weeks have been, I know it has. You and I have spoken, a roller coaster. Tell me firstly, you've been poorly. How are you? And how has this been personally for you?
I'm really fine. I'm really good now, thank you. It was a really worrying few days. You know, I'm not going to lie, when it all started before lockdown even happened. And I'm sure, like everybody, you know, we were all venturing into something that was completely unknown. And I think we all had this moment of going, this isn't happening. This is all fine. Through to very quickly, shit, this is really happening on a personal level and a business level. And I'm sure all your community feel the same. You know, on one hand, you're going, what is lockdown? What does it mean? Are my parents going to be okay? Is my business all right?
Yeah.
How is everything? And then how is the team going to work from home? How's that infrastructure going to be? What we did was, and then yes, I got ill in the process as well, unfortunately, which I think made it even more challenging. What we did is we regrouped, we really focused, we looked at, which we always do as a business, is we looked at solutions rather than problems. And I think for us, you know, of course, we had some big events that got cancelled, and that had an impact. But we've also had really great coverage for clients in the last week, and we've actually taken on some new clients too. And it's about being agile. My goal out of this is I have a really, really incredible team. They're amazing. And my goal is to get through this with them and the business flourishing.
Yeah. Tell me, how is the PR world, would you say, changing? And how is it adapting? And what do you think media want to hear about right now? Because is it all about people pivoting, the coronavirus, products that are empathetic with the time? Or is there still space for people doing what they do really well? Or is there a lot of competition for this, you know, for what is a minimal amount of space out there?
I think that's such a good question, because I've never known a change this quickly within our industry and within media. I mean, it's so interesting how it's changed so quickly, and day by day, really. All TV interviews are happening remotely. So a lot of our colleagues in TV have been working out the infrastructure of how you actually make that happen and what is the outlet to make that happen. A lot of our contacts and colleagues in print media are having a really hard time. The sales of newspapers are really dipping, of course, because people are not going into shops. Supermarkets are not deeming newspapers to be essential right now, so they're not necessarily wanting their teams and distribution centres to be taking in newspapers when they could be taking in other products. So there are you know, journalists that have been reduced hours or been furloughed, and that's really tough for them. News is clearly taking up a really big chunk of the media, but there is a real need and desire from audiences for humour and creative content. And so TV, print, online are still really keen for mainstream content. They're not connected to the pandemic. And I'm sure you'll feel like this, Holly. Everyone watching, whatever you do, for the first time ever, everyone in the world is basically in the same situation and going through this. right?
Yeah.
And know is, so, and there comes some comfort from that in a weird way. And the other thing that comes with that is people's tastes don't change. Just because we're going through this pandemic and this uncertainty doesn't mean people don't want to watch a comedy or a horror film or listen to their favorite podcast or dance around the kitchen. You know, those things don't change. And so mainstream media really, really understand that. I think the other element is with everyone in lockdown, there's just more time to consume. I think the number one thing right now for any business, media, PR, marketing, is you have to remain agile, because things change week by week and day. And my number one tip right now would be, I'm really honest, would be not to schedule social posts, because news is changing so quickly, and it would be really, really awful to have something inappropriate break and pop up. And I think right now you don't need to be doing that. And I think as a small business, that could actually be a little bit detrimental. So that's my number one tip right now. Just don't stop scheduling.
So many small businesses are just in need of that guidance. They're feeling uncomfortable. Now, I'm trying to keep them going, saying, you get out there and you tell your story. Don't be, insensitive, and do not, have empathy. But what would you say? Would you agree with me that they shouldn't feel scared or that they are being disrespectful to continue PRing and marketing their companies?
I could not agree with you more, Holly. I really, emphatically agree with that. I think a number one tip is that it is really, really common to feel awkward promoting yourself. Okay, it doesn't matter who you are and what you do. You could be the biggest film star in the world, and before you have to go in for an interview, like, oh God, a bit awkward, kind of bigging myself up. You know, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't really come that naturally to lots of people. So try using the word we rather than I.
Okay. So give me an example of that.
So, if I was a completely sole trader, I don't know, say I was a mobile hairdresser, I would say, instead of doing a post or contacting people saying, I can do this for you, I could do this, which feels quite a vulnerable position to put yourself in, and that you're putting yourself forward. It's a very, it's a very vulnerable position to come from. I. If you say, we are offering, it feels like there is a collective, and actually it feels less egotistical. It shouldn't feel egotistical saying I anyway, and that's all linked to the imposter syndrome and all those other areas that I know you've spoken about. But if you try using we instead of I think people might find it a bit easier.
God, that's such a good, really good tip. We, not I.
I don't think at any point now people should stop what they're doing. And my other thing I would say is, how many negative comments? Because what we're programmed to do as humans is hear one negative and sit with it and take it home and stew on it and ignore all of the 30 other lovely positive comments. So stand back, don't take it personally, and go, actually, if you're getting 170 comments and they're all negative, then maybe we've misjudged the mood. But if there's one, as Taylor Swift says, haters gonna hate, just move on.
Just move on. Another question from One of a Kind Position. Is there a particular angle the media are looking at the moment? So from what you're hearing, is there something particular that they're, obviously we've got the virus, obviously we've got health, we've got the NHS. What other things that you heard?
You know what? They're looking for everything. And I know that might not sound very helpful when I say that, but actually what this opportunity enables is for people to think really creatively and really sell stories. They're after true life, they're after interviews, they're after feel-good stories, they're after creative things, they're after tips you can do at home, ways to keep your kids active, ways to keep your mind active, funny stories, tips to listen, things to watch. Everything that existed before, they're still after now. And the challenge in print is that there are, like I said, it's really tough because there are a lot of journalists that have been put part-time or furloughed. So the challenge there is finding out who's writing and how you can help. One of the things we have done, actually, that some of the people watching might find really helpful is, instead of trying to promote just one thing, we've packaged something up that we've gone to media with, that they've come back to us and gone, oh my God, we really love this. This is great. You know, and whether that's us going, here are the top 10 podcasts that we think relation, and breaking them down into subcategory sections, or whether it's, here's the latest music that's coming out in the next 3 or 4 weeks. And then we're saying these people are available for interview. Do you want to chat to them? So we're not just doing separate individual pitches to all these journalists. We're actually saying, here we are as an agency. How can we help you?
I think that's such a great idea. A couple of things that are springing to my mind from there. One, if you have a product collection, maybe it's time to look at your collection in a different way and start to maybe think empathetically about the environment that we're in, and doing a press release. And by the way, you know, you can obviously hire experts such as Megan. You can look at it online and create a press release about that product range and why it's really in tune with what's happening. But also a little idea just sprung to mind, which is, you know, this Instagram community, going back to Richmond Cake School and what she said, let's say you all did one genre of product. What if you got together, built, put all your collections together and did a collective PR press release? What would happen there? Because I'm wondering, that could be very, very exciting, because I don't think journalists would be used to that. And it could be a new angle. You remember what I said? Catch their attention. What is it that's going to grab their attention? Tell me. Product launches and let's say lots of things going out there. We know TV, books, product launches, events. We should do it or hold off.
100% do it. We have got big announcements coming up in the next few weeks and days. I think the answer is it depends on your product, right? So let's be really honest here.
Yes.
If your product is something for use at home, then hell yeah, launch it now. You know, you've got a captive audience. If your product is something that involves group sport activities in a park, then pause. You know?
Yes.
But if your product is something that you think people will use right now, don't sit on it. You've got a captive audience. What are we all going to do? Everyone sit and wait, and what? Everyone then launch everything at the same time a few months down the line. You know, that's just going to cause a complete chaos, and even harder to get any, you know, get your noise, break through the noise.
Tell me.
Also, local media, can I just say, local media, you know, they want stories. Local media are really, really important. There was a wonderful story this week, how I should remember the title. I want to say The Star up near Wolverhampton, and I'm sorry if that's the wrong title, because they did a great job. They reported a story about the local hospital car parking charges. You know, they ran it on the front page. They got the parking changes reversed. You know, they got free parking for NHS doctors and nurses. These titles in the local papers are really, really important for communities. Pick up the phone, call them, say to them, you know, what do you need? How can I help? You know, maybe say to them, you know, I'll stock your paper in the shop, you know, when we reopen, you know, how can I help you at this time? I will pay for advertising, you know, in 3 months' time. What do you need? You know, make those relationships right now.
And a couple of people have said this, utilize this time to make relationships. Do you think that there is anything that's sort of like you shouldn't be PRing at the moment, and industries that you think are doing better? Because I certainly know from doing these every day, I've been buying quite a bit online in fashion. Now, it's taking longer to arrive, but so far there is nothing that I have stopped consuming because of the situation I'm in.
Yeah, and the actual figures show, Holly, that your behaviour mimics the behaviour of most of the country right now.
Really?
Yeah, and you know, SOS is a good example. Their website looks a bit different now because they're sending clothes to models' homes and they're photographing themselves at home, you know, and they're putting it online. Again, it's about being agile, you know, and the big clothing companies that we're going to see struggling are the ones that didn't have their digital offering sorted before this happened. So in terms of your fashion, yes, absolutely do it.
I'm going to ask a couple more questions, but another thing was something I've always done was always when I go to launch something or create something. Now, I don't always do a press release for everything, but I think as if it is a press release. So what would my press release say about what I'm about to do? And if it's not very compelling, Well, firstly, it needs to be compelling, and you can go and massage it and change it and morph it. Yeah. But basically, think in terms of press release first. Okay. And would that be a good piece of advice?
The number one bugbear with press releases is that it is just one big piece of paper with words on it, right? And often that can feel quite self-indulgent. You need to make them really eye-catching, and people love an image, they love a visual. Everyone consumes things in the same way. If you think about when you pick up a magazine and you go through, it's the articles with a really enticing image and a big headline and a box of kind of some facts and stats and a bit of a quote that's pulled out that's a bit bigger. They're the things that you look at and go, I'll read that. When you get to a page or 3 pages of an interview, which is just text, we all do it. We go, I'll read that later.
Yeah, I never do.
Later, right? So make it really visual. Add little boxes. It might be top 5 facts. It might be top 3 things on offer. Keep quotes really short. No one is actually going to quote you. I'm going to be really honest. You know, no one the chances are if they quote you, they're going to use 3 or 4 words from it, a line at most. No one's going to take a quote this big unless it's of someone that they don't have any access to on an interview or anything else that's kind of in the public eye.
I want to sum up what we've been speaking about. So regroup, look at solutions rather than promises. Promises, not promises, problems. The key thing to remember is everyone in the world is in exactly the same situation, and there is no more time to consume. TV and radio have record viewers. So basically what you were saying there is for the first time ever, we're all in the same boat at exactly the same time. So you know the temperature of your audience. TV and radio have record viewings, and there is a lot of creative opportunities right now. Number one top tip, don't schedule social posts right now because the news is changing all the time. You have to remain agile. Things change week by week. It is so common to feel awkward when promoting yourself. Try using the word we rather than I. Remember, when dealing with negative comments, we hear only one negative comment, I know this, and we ignore all the positive, wonderful comments, and we hang on to it. As Taylor Swift said, haters gonna hate. I'm not gonna sing it, nor you. We won't sing it, will we? Instead of trying to promote one thing, why not try and package things up? And I think that's what the community is taking away there. I gave a sort of idea there. What if some small businesses, maybe in the same genre, same area, same part of England, got together and actually did that press release together? How interesting would that be?
Create a store together, you know?
Yeah.
Working with you've never done. Or say, if you buy this, we think it looks great with this. You can buy it from this site.
And we're both small businesses here in Wales. I've got Wales on the brain after BBC Wales this morning.
Wales.
And if you can't describe what you're selling in a very simple line, then go back to the drawing board, make your press release really colourful, keep those quotes really short, and then grab people's attention. And keep launching, keep posting, keep building, and keep going. Does that sound right?
Absolutely. Absolutely keep going. And also remember every day that you are contributing hugely to society and to this country. You know, Holly, you taught me this, 99% of UK businesses are small businesses.
Yes.
You know, that is you and I, and that is all the people watching. You know, we fund and support the economy. We employ people. You know, we bring creativity, we bring ideas. And some days we're going to feel completely exhausted on this roller coaster that we're all on right now. And other days we're going to be completely fired up.
Megan, bless you. Megan from Carver PR, thank you for all that insight. The small business community really needed that. And bless you. Thank you, Megan, so much. Take care. Take care. Thank you to our sponsors, NatWest, Dell, 3 and Royal Mail. And for now, that's me on the landing, signing off.